Right now, we are actually in the midst of a, a disruption that is fairly major. This disruption has caused businesses to collapse, industries to collapse. We are seeing something that the world has not seen for a very, very long time. And it's probably not the same as the last disruptions that were happening. But before we go into that, let me just introduce myself a little bit. I'm actually a nutritionist by training. And when you're a nutritionist that looks like me, obviously the packaging doesn't quite fit the role. So I had to re-examine my priorities and ask myself, how am I going to go back to add value? Because I became a nutritionist wanting to add value and help people in their lives. So I had to ask myself, now, how do I actually do this in my life and move on? So I ended up as a medical writer, and later on, I stumbled into Nestle as a marketing executive. And I've grown my career from there because I realized that being a marketeer, you can make a difference in people's life. You can help people have nourished, nutritious food and everything else that I held true. And later on, I spent 18 years in Nestle, and I handled a lot of mega brands. I think some of these brands are not new to you. And later on, when I left Nestle, I started up my own consultancy. And right now, I'm actively training as well as being a business coach for many industries. I have SME clients, I have GLC clients, and so on and so forth. But I've also been very fortunate that the fact that I've actually been able to have a regional experience. We've also had opening up new businesses in different countries. So that's a little bit about me. Not very exciting, just very dramatic. Okay. Today I have been told we have only 30 minutes, and I was asking Dr. Maria, are you very strict about your 30 minutes? And the answer was yes. Okay, so because of that, I don't intend for today's session to be a very in-depth session. I don't expect us to be able to go and understand each and every concept that is here to its finest details. This session is just going to be a thought starter. It's going to be an ignition for you to take home some concepts and to change your perspectives on what we can do in terms of branding during these turbulent times. So my question to you is, what exactly is the disruption? So we hear a lot of phrases being thrown around. We hear the storm, we hear disruption, we hear, I don't know, the new norm, and we hear so much jargon that is just being thrown around. So let's just take a look and see what exactly is what we call, what I'm calling the disruption. A disruption is anything that disturbs, shakes the status quo. In the current situation, it is a medical situation. There is a virus, there's a pandemic that is going around the world. And it's basically changed the way that life as we know it for now. A disruption could be a financial crash, which is something that all the experts are expecting to happen post COVID-19. And looking at where we are right now, it's probably true because industries are shutting down. Airlines are grounding all their flights. Hotels are shutting down. I believe that just yesterday, the results of the poll by the Malaysian Hotels Association, 30% of the hotels in Malaysia are going to shut down. We heard about it, about Park Royal giving VSS. It's all over the news, okay? So industry landscape is completely changed. It's a total disruption to the way that they normally do business. And of course, this is something that we don't want. Obviously, many countries go through this. The last global disruption could be one of these things, all right? So, and the question, I guess, that we need to know is, or we have to ask ourselves is, will it happen again? Maybe not in a global pandemic, but definitely with the stock market up and down, it will happen. War happens in different parts of the world all the time. And wherever you are, it could be a political upheaval in your country. That's what we're going through right now. It could be anything that shakes the status quo. And whether we like it or not, disruption is normal. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what happened in our country and what do we actually need to do to move on and grow during a season of disruption. So I'm going to show you a couple of videos, 3 videos to be exact. And this was the first video about this situation. I am sure you know about this. Now, if you know the outcome, just keep it to yourself for a while. But if you don't know the outcome, then please have a look and see what actually sparked a million worries nationwide. And this was a phenomenon that was seen nationwide during this period. So just have a look.
Today is May the 4th, the first day of the Luzon MCO. Okay, you can see the line. People lining up. Guess where they are going, lining up for. Okay, I'm driving and holding the phone at the same time. Look at this line. Look at this line, okay? Guess where they are going. Okay, where does this line ends? This line ends in Pajak Gadai.
Okay, so this video was taken and posted on somebody's Facebook. And from this particular video, what has happened is this video went viral. It was downloaded, it was WhatsApped across the nation. There were photographs of this same scene happening all around the country. And guess what happened? A lot of people panicked. And they said, oh my goodness, these people are supposed to get Prihatin 8. What happened? Why are they still there? You know, oh my gosh, things are so bad that people are going and pawning their jewelry and their precious stuff. And oh my goodness, the economy is so bad. And you know, poor these people and so on and so forth. There was so much drama about it. So this particular clip was actually in Ipoh, and I grew up in Ipoh, and we have a group of people going around preparing food for the underprivileged, and we actually send them, because this was viral, and we send them to the shops to find out whether or not there was some way that we could channel aid to this particular group of people who are lining up in front of the pawn shops. And what we found was that it really wasn't 100% what we thought it would be. And it wasn't what we thought. So a day and a half, 2 days later, there was news coverage about the phenomenon because it was such a concern nationwide. And this is what happened. So let me show you the next slide. Okay, if I can. Okay, no, sorry. Okay, so it was a crisis mode for everybody, yeah? So 2 days later, Star came out with this, and this is what happened. The story carried by the Star, and the after that, Bulletin Utama, Bulletin 130, the midday bulletin, also carried a similar story, and there's a little bit more information that you can see here. So it's the same story, but there's a little bit of voice over, so you can actually hear what they are actually saying.
Baik, sebaik perintah kawalan pergerakan bersyarat dilaksanakan, kedai pajak gadai antara premis perniagaan yang menjadi tumpuan ramai. Menurut pelanggan, premis itu menjadi pilihan kerana mudah membuat pinjaman kecil secara cepat selain menyelesaikan urusan pinjaman tertangguh sepanjang tempoh PKP. Kehadiran ramai pelanggan di kedai pajak gadai mencuri perhatian dan tular di media sosial sejak semalam. Tinjauan di Ipoh pagi tadi mendapati situasi sama di beberapa premis termasuk di Jalan CM Yusof apabila pelanggan beratur lebih 100 meter. Polis turut hadir bagi memastikan keadaan terkawal. Rata-rata pelanggan yang ditemui menjelaskan mereka mahu menyemak status perjanjian kredit yang tertangguh akibat PKP sejak 18 Mac lalu. Ini kerana sistem kredit mikro berkenaan berfungsi secara manual menyebabkan mereka terpaksa menunggu premis beroperasi kembali untuk berurusan.
Ada renew, ada ambil barang dia, ada yang macam tebus.
Sebab sebelum ni kedai ni tutup.
Memang tutup. Baru kedai ni baru start dari semalam buka.
Semalam buka.
4 hari bulan baru semalam buka agak. Buka dari semalam macam ni juga agak.
Situasi sama juga di kedai pajak di Jalan Sultan Iskandar juga mendapati orang ramai beratur menanti giliran. Apabila didekati, kebanyakan daripada mereka juga memaklumkan perkara sama iaitu menyemak tarikh perjanjian. Sementara itu, tinjauan di Jalan Russell pula mendapati kedai pajak di situ lengang. Sementara itu, di Johor Bahru, premis pajak gadai turut menjadi tumpuan pelanggan yang tiba seawal jam 7.30 pagi sebelum premis dibuka pada jam 9 pagi. Rata-rata yang ditemui mengakui berurusan untuk menebus atau membuat pinjaman kecil. Ini kerana sistem kredit mikro berkenaan lebih mudah tanpa perlu mengisi borang yang banyak untuk membuat pinjaman. Bagaimanapun, kadar faedahnya disifatkan tinggi berbanding sistem yang lain. Dalam pada itu, tinjauan mendapati premis mematuhi jarak sosial selain pelanggan turut wajib menjalani saringan suhu badan.
Right.
Baik.
That was a pretty big oops in the sense that if before the clarification media or the media clarification what had actually happened, there was so much pandemonium that was going on online, and the original video clip actually went around the world. It went onto almost, a lot of people's WhatsApps, and many people, ourselves included, went out to actually try to help these people because, as I mentioned, we had a group of volunteers going out to approach them to see what kind of aid, that whether they need pre-packed food, whether they had enough food to eat or not. So there was a lot of mobilization going out into the trade, into the market to see what we could do to help this group of people, because we felt that, they are so poor thing, they're really having to pawn away their jewelry to survive the next meal. But when we did go out there, and some of the feedback that came back was that I'm not here to pawn jewelry, I'm actually here to redeem, because every month I have to pay interest. And now that I've gotten my pre-Hatin payments, I'm actually using this to actually go and redeem my jewelry. Now, I'm not saying I'm for or against, it's totally nothing, there's no political stuff here, in spite of the fact that there was a political message in one of the clips. But, this was the reality. They had the money and they wanted to go and pay so that it wouldn't get forfeited. And for those who could afford it, they wanted to redeem so that they didn't have to continue to pay interest. So what does that tell us? That tells us that if we look at a certain situation just as it is, sitting at our desk, or something isolated, we are a sample size of one. And through our eyes, that may be reality. But is our reality really firmly rooted in the minds of the people that we're speaking to? I think that's where we really need to go back and reassess whether our reality is really what the consumer needs. And the only way for us to actually understand what they need is for us to actually actively ask. And I think everybody is quite familiar with this pyramid. It's our hierarchy of needs, but and these hierarchy of needs have not changed. The levels have not changed, but the form and function of that, the individual asks or the individual segments in that hierarchy has probably changed. And here is where we actually need to ask ourselves. Now, many of us here are in the training industry. We are consultants, we are trainers, and so on. And our industry has been badly hit by this particular disturbance. And, you know, we've had to look for innovative ways to react to this. So when we look at this, if let's say you run a business in education, you are, whether you're higher education, middle education, or early education, you are in the education business, definitely you are impacted by this. And here are some thought starters of where you can actually look at how your consumers or your users have changed so that it can help you re-strategize. One thing that is confirmed is that a lot of businesses are closing down. There's no denial. Many pilots are now grounded, many hotels, the tourism industry is really bad, oil and gas is pretty bad. Okay, so in these particular industries, there are people that are being let go, and many of them will now start to look at other jobs to start a small business, and they will then become gig entrepreneurs. So gig entrepreneurship is something that you become a freelancer, you are your own boss, you work a certain number of hours, or you do something outsourced. So for example, recently one of the media agencies had to retrench 600 people from its staff. Many of them are designers, graphic artists, advertising people. Guess what they will be doing? They will be coming out and freelancing. The copywriters will be starting to freelance. The graphic designers will be starting to freelance. So there will be an influx of people going out there becoming gig entrepreneurs. And I foresee, this is my personal observation and my prediction, is that gig entrepreneurship in Malaysia is going to boom. If you take a look at the number of Grab riders right now, all these people have signed up to be independent contractors. They are gig entrepreneurs. It has already changed. Okay, working from home. All of us currently, I would say 99% of us in this room today are at home. And whether we have a home office or we are working for our dining room tables, it's okay. We are working from home. So all this is all changing. People are worried about food. Food, for example, I have not been able to buy groceries online. I've not been able to buy fresh vegetables online, my detergents, nothing, because the waiting time is just too long. But I have been, surprise, surprise, been able to buy durian from Rao, and it got delivered yesterday. It's in my freezer right now. It's frozen and vacuum packed, but I got it from Rao. Okay, amazing, right? I got fish from the fishmonger the fisherman from Kuala Selangor. They do Pulau Ketam, okay, which is nearby, and it's like 40 kilometers away. And they have taken that fish directly on the boat. They have scaled it, cleaned it, and frozen, vacuum packed it, and immediately freeze it. And they sent it to me from the boat to the depot, and it came to my house in an ice box. Okay, so things have changed. The way we do business has changed. What do we need? There are people who are isolated, isolation, boredom, loneliness, this mental health, all these are areas that people need help. And everything about the world that was true 2 months ago is no longer true. So everything that we need to do has to be reset. And before we hit the reset button, I think we really, really need to examine whether the truth is as per our one sample of one lens, looking out from the outside, or is it what is really affecting everybody? And the best way, if you're a business person or if you're a brand owner or if you want to progress in life, is to actually listen. Listen, 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 and read. There's so much information. Yesterday, I was doing Google Trends. Guess what? There's good news. Forums like these are a big hit because online, free courses online. that search has a 300% increase in Malaysia in the last 2 months. From 2 months ago to now, 300% increase. So everybody's looking for something they can learn online. And question, why? Why is this like that now? What has changed? Why? What? You know, understand why they do something. Why is it important? What does it mean? What made them do it? And then when you have that information, go back and say, okay, now I have all this information. So what? How does this apply to me? How is this going to make a difference to me? If I do what and why, so what is the impact? And if I to do this, so what will it mean to someone else? This is all sense checking because our reality has changed. We don't know what's going to happen after this. The only thing that we can do is to understand basic fundamental steps. Why, what, so what? And then we can start to plan. And then you ask, when you've got all this, you have to assess, is this the new normal? I think the way we are going on a global scale, face masks will continue to be in fashion for a long time. Hand sanitizers, when we first started our MCO and our lockdown, it was so difficult to get. Everybody, their father, mother, uncle, auntie, son, brother, sister, nephew, whoever, as long as they could get face masks, they would sell face masks. If they could get hand sanitizers, they will open a hand sanitizer business. If they could get gloves, they would open gloves business. Okay, but guess what? And they would suddenly raise the prices. Ganesan, I noticed that you raised your hand. Would you like to ask a question? Okay, no. All right, so all these people had actually raised prices and were starting to make business out of it. Now, guess what? Everybody and the kitchen sink is selling masks, hand sanitizers and all that. And from a prized item coveted by everybody, it has now become a commodity. And people who started importing on a knee-jerk reaction, they didn't plan that the fulfillment, they didn't plan for what would happen after that. Now everybody's throwing price. So at one stage, a box of face masks, 50 pieces, 3-ply, was going for 120. That was the highest that I've ever seen, 120. If anybody has bought even more, okay, fair enough. But now it is come down to the fact that you can even get it for 50 ringgit. And there's a ceiling price which is set, which is 150. So what is the new normal? Is what we are facing now going to last forever? And we need to find that balance. One thing we know for sure, it's not going to be what it was 2 months ago. People are going to wear face masks. There is going to be crowd control. People are going to want to take social distancing a little bit longer term. But then again, Malaysians being Malaysians with the easy to forget and tidak apa attitude, in certain areas, they have already thrown out social distancing. Like, for example, I don't go out of my house unless I absolutely need to, if I need to top up on groceries. And I've been to a couple of different places. I went to Maidin, no social distancing. Everybody is crowding around a shelf. Everybody is breathing down your neck. I walked out. I never went back. I go to Jaya Grocer. You have a long queue. They give you hand sanitizers, gloves, etc., etc. And they try to make you feel as comfortable as possible. Tesco recently put out a sign. I think it was Tesco, I can't remember which one, Mutiara Damansara, I think, I'm not sure, where they put up a sign, people below 16 and above 65 not allowed to enter premises because of certain conditions. So what is the new norm? I don't think we know yet until it really progresses a little bit more. And in the meantime, we have to listen and make changes, already start making changes. Keep reading. For example, we need to understand that the consumer pattern is changing. People are going to be proactive about their health. They are going to be, revitalizing certain categories. Just before the lockdown was announced, everybody was rushing out buying toilet paper. 1 month into the MCO, people were going around buying hair dye. 2 weeks after that, people were going out buying clippers because you know what? The guys' hairs were getting long and the wives had to go and cut their hair for them or shave their hair and trim it. So these are all patterns that are evolving. And if we don't keep our hand on the pulse, we will completely miss it. Malaysians are also evolving at different paces. And what is important for us to do is take note of the evolution that is happening. All the research that has been done 2 months ago, take it. I'm not saying throw it out of the window. It's still valid, but you need to validate it. You need to revalidate every single piece of research that you had done. Consumer segmentation is totally different now. You probably have a psychographic taking precedence over a demographic, okay? But then again, there are some people who are completely untouched by this pandemic. The only thing that they do is they see their Lamborghini outside gathering dust. But does it mean that they will not go out and buy another Lamborghini? No, they have the money. They can still do that. Certain premium segments are going to remain premium and they are untouched. So buying patterns are going to be the same for that category. But is it the same for every category? Definitely not. So re-segmentize, re-evaluate the truth of what you know. It has changed. And once you've done that, redo your consumer portrait. You may now be relevant to somebody else, and start listening and curating the information. Collect, listen, segment, reassess everything and redo your bullseye, because your bullseye may have contracted, your bullseye may have grown in value. So you really need to understand everything that is happening around us and distill the information in a way which is applicable to you. Okay? And once you have all that, then you start planning for the new normal, because I don't know what the new normal is. We know that some of us have had to put our wedding plans on hold. Wedding planners are now deferring, habits are changing. There's so many things that is happening. We don't know where this will end. And I think it's still a bit too early. The only thing we can do is arm ourselves and prepare ourselves for what could be an educated, calculated projection of the new tomorrow. And we plan for that. And this new normal, constantly go back and reevaluate. Just have a feedback loop and feed more information and process this information. Okay, that's all I have today. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can connect to me on LinkedIn. Okay, so I have a LinkedIn, Sonia K. Sarpal, or you have my mobile number, or you can directly call Dr. Maria, and I'm sure Dr. Maria will be able to help as well. So that's all from me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get back to you.
Wow, thank you so much, Sonia. I think, wow, that was very refreshing, and I think it might have been, it's also an eye-opener for all of us, because just when we think we know things, we understand the new normal, suddenly you're telling us the new normal is something different. And actually it's so true, because I think this one resonates well with our first topic which we did, which was on 5 steps to everybody must analyze. It's all about being aware and connecting. Now, without further ado, I want to open for some questions. Do you all have any questions? Please feel free to ask. I think there was one question just now by Jivita. Jivita, what was your question just now, Jivita? By mistake. Okay, I can. Jivita, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question? Or anybody else? Feel free, yeah? And about while waiting for the question, just to share a little bit of the gig entrepreneurs. I think it's so true. Anybody can make any business from at home now, and you just have to be a bit creative and start it off, yeah? Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Any questions, please? Anyone? Please feel free to unmute yourselves and ask any question. No question, are you?
It's not a question, but I just want to share something.
Sonia?
Yes, please.
A lot of things, whatever you shared, Sonia, it's really true. And as what you call good citizens, we just have to change ourselves, adapt to all the changes. And then if we see things positively, we can really, go forward instead of just sitting down and, complaining everything. Oh, this is not right. This is not right. Then you will never go anywhere. So very good points you shared, Sonia. Very good. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Noah.
Sonia, just a new, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes,
can,
yes.
Ganesan.
Okay, Sonia, just an observation. Just a few days, especially after the CM CEO has been announced, looks like the new norm could go back to the old norm very fast and to a very close stage. So those who are making these drastic changes might go back to square one. So that is a little bit worrying, you know. I see some shops like going back to the exact situation they were before. So what is your
So,
opinion on that?
what is my opinion is that I think that there are some people who are early adopters and some people who are laggards. I think we all appreciate that that is part of how society works. That's number one. Now, so, and adopting of a new lifestyle, I mean, like, for example, if I'm in my 40s or 50s, I've had 50 years practice of doing rubbish. Whether it worked or didn't work, it's a different story. But I've had 50 years of doing the same thing. And right now, if I'm going to suddenly have to change, I'm forced to change, I would want to go back to my comfort zone. So that's something that we really need to understand as well. There are going to be some people who will decide and make a cognitive choice and say, okay, what I've been doing for 50 years has not gotten me anywhere. And it's time for me to reset. And they will soon learn to adapt to considered the new normal. You are right, in some stores, people are going back to having the same habits again and again. And like, for example, my example earlier was that I went to Maidin, everybody was crowding, they were pushing against each other. They brought their children in their trolleys. We had families of 8 and 10s, you know, going around as if it was a pesta. And this was MCO time, not even CMCO. This was during MCO in the early days, within the first month. And they were still bringing huge families to come to Maidin for a shopping trip. And there are going to be people who are going to be stubborn. What is going to happen is that these people at some point in time will soon realize that they are the minority, because most people would take steps to reevaluate and move on and adapt to what is the new normal. The people who don't will face consequences later. Alternatively, because Malaysians have also got very short memories, and Malaysians have a very bad habit of everything, whatever lah, you know, can lah, whatever lah. As long as I got enough to eat, enough to what, myself first, you know, everything else later. So the tidak apa attitude among Malaysians is something that is a worrying concern. So as we make changes in our business to adapt to this situation, we don't know what is the new normal, number one, and we don't know how long this new normal is going to be, which is why when I asked for a feedback system into the mechanism, is you constantly evaluate what is changing at real time, and you push it back into the feedback loop and you reassess it. There won't be drastic changes to your action plans unless you are like a beer factory who has retrofitted everything to produce hand sanitizers. And in the early days, we heard of things like that. It happened in Singapore as well as in Europe, where those boutique beer outlets, where they were making beer, brewing beer on premises, they had to convert everything to come back to produce hand sanitizers. And they did that because they needed to survive. But as the demand for beer increased during this MCO, CMCO, they've actually gone back to making beers, sending it out via riders, online dispatches. So they found new ways. They found new ways to reach their consumers. So it's a total changing, evolving animal right now. I have no answer as to how this is going to end. Absolutely none. I don't know. The only thing I can say, life as we knew it 2 months ago is not going to be the same ever. That I can guarantee. We are so used to ordering food online now. We are so used to working from home or being able to communicate this way. Do I really want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get ready, prepare my day, leave my house at 6:30 in the morning, travel 1 hour to the office, sit in the office, run around meeting clients, sit in a jam another 2 hours and come back? Do I really want that? No, honestly, I can say I have changed. I prefer to have a a flexible working pattern, I would prefer to make, and because I have internet, so internet is now essential. And as long as I have my essential activities right here from the comfort of my own home, and my team is able to function like that, I don't need to have a physical office anymore. And I think you will see that things will change. Google is now able to hire from Malaysia, not in the Malaysia office, but from Google HQ, because everybody can work from home now. So talent acquisition is changing because people are able to hire cross-border. For example, in the past, if somebody wants to work in Google HQ, they got to hire, they got to have visa, they got to have a security check, and so on and so forth. Now it's not necessary. They don't have to do that anymore. They can work remotely. And you can work for Google HQ in Malaysia, and you don't need a work visa. You don't need to leave the comfort of your own home. So things are changing. Businesses will evolve. To what extent, we need to know. Businesses will drastically change their business model, may find that they will go back to some semblance of normalcy in their own business model. But by and large, I think the way we run our businesses has changed and will continue to change.
Yeah, Sonia. So can I say this? That means when it comes to individuals, what we are seeing when people are going back to normal are people's habits, individuals' habits. Okay, I would say new normal as two. One is individuals' habits and culture normals. Another one is industry practices and the way businesses are run. That is another normal. I think what we are seeing is individuals are getting back into the whole habit. That is what the kind of the new normal that we are worried that they go back to the old. But the industry, like what you say, the way business is run, whether people are receptive to go back to work or I would rather stay at home and work, those kind of things are for sure, is definitely there's going to be a drastic change in it. Am I correct? That's what we are trying to say, right? All right, thank you, Sonia. Thank you. Now there is another one more that I want to just highlight. I think one person, I think Jivita, was asking whether just now are there any online courses, free online courses, and I think there's a reply from Bhuvna where she was saying maybe this is good for everyone. If you're a Malaysian and currently employed, the Malaysian government through MDEC has partnered up with Coursera to provide free access to 3,800 courses, including professional certificates for unemployed workers until 31 December 2020. And she has also given the link over there, yeah, MDEC. So kindly access the link. Maybe you all can access it and have more free one, okay? All right, so yes, anybody else? Yeah.
There are a few more that are online available. I think Business School has actually released about 36 or 48 courses online that you can actually go in and get certification for. To attend the courses, Harvard University.
Okay, yes, Harvard, yes.
So they have actually got, I think, 36 or 48 courses that are already gone up, and there are some weird stuff there. And guess what? Because I'm a bit weird like that, I also signed up for about 6 of them, and I've already started studying. So
Harvard has fantastic ideas, huh? Fantastic ideas.
And there are a lot of other universities, reputable universities, offering this $1, RM or $1 for an entire certification. Masters in something for $1, I think $19, something like that. They are offering things like that. So there are a lot of things that are out there. All you have to do is just ask Uncle Google, and Uncle Google will tell you. There's plenty.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. Okay, all right. Any other questions that you have, everybody? Are there any other questions? I know we've gone past the time, but any questions?
I do apologize for taking much longer.
Yes, no, thank you very much. Now, just to let you know, no doubt there are free courses all around. We also want to make some fun, okay? So we have some courses where they charged. I hope you all can look into it. Now, guys, just to let you know, as you all know, Ace Business is doing this free training. I'm very happy to provide this training, and we try to keep it short so that you can get something and just take and run kind of a case like cash and carry kind of thing. And this Wednesday we are having another training, and this is by a trainer called Raimin. He's from Brunei, okay? And Raimin is going to talk about get things done. Okay, could I get everybody else to mute yourselves, please? Mute all, yep, except me. Okay. Muted for a while. Okay. So Raimin from Brunei, he's going to do a training on Get Things Done. He's a master practitioner for that and licensee. So please do not miss that. That's on Wednesday. Okay. And on Friday, we have another person by the name John Paul. Okay, he is going to share about the 9 core leadership of Oxel. Oxel is Oxford Center for Leadership, learning for leadership, and they also offer fellows and all that in the Oxel. So it'll be very good if you all could come on board as well. I will keep you all posted on that. Okay, and just to let you know, on this Thursday, I am doing a training which is called 25 Techniques to Say Yes. All right, make all the people say yes, 25 techniques. Now, one thing I must tell you, experience is experience, theory is theory. The moment experience are shared, you definitely will be able to see how things are applied. And number 2, in this training, what I will do, I will also take you, I'm a very technique person. I don't want to give theory. So the techniques that we will uncover your business or your product or your services so that you can look into it and use whatever you have developed in your sales, in your promotion. Okay, so do not miss it. It's only 99 ringgit, but it will be a 2-hour plus 1 hour. But I'm giving you a lot of templates, and you will definitely see your business and your product from a different light. That is for sure, I guarantee you. Okay, now sorry for the hard sell as usual, but nevertheless, just to keep you posted, after the 22nd of May, I would continue, but probably not on a weekly basis. Maybe we'll do once a week or twice, 2 weeks, once in a fortnight. I will keep you all posted. But I would love to keep this going. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Are there any other questions or anybody want to share anything? Anybody want to share anything? Okay. On Ace Business site, I'm also promoting other trainings. I'll keep you all posted. Feel free whenever you all feel like coming. All right. Okay, Sonia, you want to say anything else? Your final.
Okay, I guess that whatever that we've talked about is just about listening to the other side of the story, and it's applicable not just for business but also our personal lives. I think maybe I'm a bit
yes,
in that.
very true. Yeah.
You know, so there's always 2 sides to coin, so it's always good to find out the other side. Sometimes our perspective may not exactly be 100% spot on. So I would like to thank Dr. Maria. Thank you so much for this opportunity to come out and talk to so many people. You know, social isolation is terrible. And for everybody who's turned on the camera, thank you so much. It makes me feel so much less alone. So it's wonderful. And I really, really wish you all well and hope that you guys stay safe and take care of yourselves.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you so much for accepting my offer to come on board. Thank you so much. And to all of you, thank you very much. Photo time. Photo time. So can we show ourselves a little bit with your pretty smiles and everyone smile. You are in candid camera. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. And I'm snapshot. That's my snapshot is done. Yes, it's done. Yes, sometimes with technology, you don't know whether it's doing or not. Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thanks for your support. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Thanks,
Have a good
Doctor.
day. See you again on
Thanks,
Wednesday.
Sonia.
Yeah, see you on Wednesday.
Dr. Maria, it was an awesome.
Thank you. Most welcome. Thank you very
Is
much.
it same time, Doctor?
Yes, 4 o'clock. Pukul 4 petang. Sampai 4:30.
Okay, Doctor.
Hi, Isham.
Okay, see you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you so much.
Thank you.